everyone, I'm Allie with Potomac Beads. Join me in making Anna's marquee ring featuring the IrisDuo beads. You can also make this great design into a pair of earrings, a necklace pendant, or even extend it into a bracelet. Gather up your materials and let's get started. So to begin my piece, I have a stop bead on about 3 feet of thread working with a size 10 needle. I'm going to pick up my first IrisDuo, and I'm going on the bottom hole from the right to the left. I want to add my bottom beads, which are going to be 2 of my Miyuki in the white Lila luster, 115 in the crystal lab full, and 2 more of the white Lila luster. Starting back at that stop bead, go towards the right hand side to have these be on the base. From here, I want to add 1, 2, 3, and 4 15s and go from that bottom hole to the top hole of the same bead. Over on the other side, 4 more beads get added, and I go from the top hole to the bottom hole, so kind of move that stop bead out of the way and go right into there. Pull the stop bead a little bit so that way your seed beads go right next to the piece. From here, sew up to the top of the IrisDuo by going through the 4 seed beads along the right edge. And when I'm out through the 4 seed beads on the right edge, I'm going to repeat the 11-15 pattern. So 2 of my 11 O's in the Lila luster, 115, 2 11 O's, and down through the seed beads along the side. Once I'm down through those seed beads along the side, I want to kind of encapsulate the 11 O's at the bottom too, so it looks like a nice seamless line since it's the beginning of the project. So I want to connect these 15 O's to the 11 O's. So I'm going to go back up through those 11s, 15s, 11s, and then back up towards the top. When I go back up towards the top, I'm going to also go through the 11s that sit at the top. Coming out the 11 that sits at the top there, so you can see that nice little rotation that we did, you're going to grab your next IrisDuo. The next IrisDuo, I'm going to sit down so I make sure that it's facing the correct way. And I want you to take your thread and needle and sew through the bottom hole of the IrisDuo from the left towards the right. Along the bottom here, add 2 more of your pink 11s and 1 15-0 seed bead. Go back up through those 11-0 seed beads that your thread are coming out towards your second IrisDuo. That gets that second one right there in position to join on to the first. So from here, we're going to decorate the exterior of this IrisDuo, kind of like we did with the other one. Same thing here, but I'm going to switch as I get to my top here. So coming out the side, I want 4 seed beads added. I'm going to go then through my secondary hole, add 4 more seed beads, go through the bottom hole to decorate the sides there, and then kind of to make it seamless, I'm going to go back up through those 4 seed beads along the side. And when I get to the top, what I want you to do is add your alternative color. So my second color of my 11-0 is my lavender color, and this is the Frosted Opaque Glazed Rainbow Lavender. 2 of those go on, 1 15-0, 2 of my lavender beads, and I come down that left-hand side. While you're coming down that left-hand side, go ahead and sew over the whole way here. And what we're going to do is, as we sew down and over, you're going to come out through your 11-0 seed beads that sit on the left-hand side of this new IrisDuo. And now we're going to work our way over to the right, and repeat. So then down the 15 and the 11s of the top of the first IrisDuo. And now we're repeating the exact same thing. On goes a 15, 2 of my 11Os in my pink color. And then what I'm going to do is grab my next IrisDuo. You can sit it in place here if you need to realize that I'm going to go into the left-hand side of that IrisDuo and towards the right. Once I have that sitting there, I'm going to stop thread out of the way so you can see right there. What I'm going to do is add 4 of my beads for my side. And actually, prior to do that, let's go down through those 2 and just get it caught on so you can see it in place. So see how that sits right along there? I'm going to go up through those 2 15s and the 11 and give a nice tight pull. From here, go ahead and add your 4 15s. And once you have that 4 15s, go from the bottom there, from the seed beads, up to the top hole and decorate the side. From here, 4 more seed beads go on. And then you're going to sew again from the top hole to the bottom hole along that same IrisDuo. That's going to decorate the interior here with my seed beads, just like the opposite side, because we're mirroring itself. And then I'm going to come up through the seed beads along the side here to get towards the top. And when I get to the top, I'm going to repeat my darker lavender beads. So I'm going to go 2 lavender, 1 15-0, 2 lavender beads. Coming off then, I'm going to go down through the 15s along the side. And then circle through this bead the whole way to make it back up to the top. So I'm going to go through the 15Os and the 11Os that sit right there at the bottom. I'm spinning it around in my hand and getting a second thread pass through it. Now you can do this with 2 needles, bringing them from one side to the other side, but it's nice if you only have to hold one. From here, when you get to the next one that you're going to add, I'm going to sew down through my 15 and my 11O, so I'm coming out through the bottom 11O there. Add 1 15, and see those 2 11s that sit on the right one on the left hand side? We're going to sew up through those 2. That's going to be my bottom of my next IrisDuo bead. So see how that grabs there right in the middle? Coming out through there, grab your next IrisDuo, and again, if you need to kind of lay it down to see where it goes, you're going to go through the hole from the right towards the left. Go back down then through those 5 beads, back down through your 2 11s to catch on, through the 15 that sits in the middle joining the 2, and then back up through the 11s. Give a nice tight pull, and that IrisDuo is going to sit right in that crease perfectly. The fit of this ring is kind of amazing. So then 4 more beads get added on, and I'm going to jump there to the top hole of the IrisDuo bead. 4 more beads get added on. I'm going to jump to the bottom hole of that same IrisDuo. Coming out the side there, I'm going to go up through the 11O seed beads towards the top. And when I get to the top, decorate the top with my 11s. So 2 of my lavender, 1 15, 2 11s, and back through the seed beads along the edge. That's going to decorate the top there, and pull them in. From here, I want to get over to the side because, so you can keep this as is if you want to. It's a great little earring. But see how on the side we're going through and we're making it 3 long. So what I need to do is get over to one of the sides here, and I'm going to come over with my thread and needles, going through the 15 and the 11 there. And then we share the 11s. And I'm going to come over here to my outer edge Go down through the 15 and the 11 in that lavender color. So my thread and needle are coming out the right-hand side here. Coming out the right-hand side, add a 15, 2 lavender beads, and then get ready to add your next IrisDuo. When you add your next IrisDuo, it's kind of a repetitive process, so it's the same thing over and over. I'm going to go through that bottom hole of the IrisDuo from the right towards the left side to get those beads to sit at the bottom. I'm going to go back now through those bottom 5 beads. The 2 11s that we're sharing, because if you haven't noticed, the 11s are what we share as we go into the top or bottom of the IrisDuo. Through the 15s and the 11s. And now it's time to go up the side. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4 through the top hole. 4 more of my 15s. And through the bottom hole, or directly over to your 5 beads there to kind of cover up those sides. And back up through all those 5s on the side. Back over through the top, towards the top through the 4 side beads. And now my lavender beads go on again. 2 11s, 1 15. And then what we're going to do is we are going to add 2 more of my 11s. Come on down through the side, right there, and that puts those beads perfectly at the top. Now I'm ready almost to add my next IrisDuo there. What I'm going to do instead is go on over the side to finish up my row of 3. So here what I'm going to do is kind of sneak over along the piece to get over to the side, down through the 15, through my 11s, through the 15, over to the side, and then down through the 11s on the side. Just like we did to add that bead along the right-hand side, we're doing the same thing to add the bead to the left-hand side. So 1 15, 2 purples, let that drop down. And again, you can stop after this if you want to and have a little cascade earring with the 3. Grab out a couple more of my IrisDuos. You're going to need 9 total. Put that IrisDuo so you know where it needs to sit. And in goes the IrisDuo from the left towards the right. To get that really tucked in there, go ahead and sew back through your group of 5 that sits below the IrisDuo. Back through those 2 11s, back through the 15, and through the 2 11s, and up. Once you have that nice tight pull, again, add your 15s along the side, 4 of them. Go through that top hole. And I know I'm doing this step by step, but it's a lot of sewing, so it looks super simple, and it is, but I don't want anybody to kind of get off on the design and not finish it up. 4 more 15s go on, and I'm going to go through my bottom 5 beads again. Once you're through your bottom 5 beads and coming out at the top, we're going to add our last peak of our 11 Seed beads. So on goes 2 of my lavender, and this is my last set of my lavender. 1 15, 2 more lavender, and down the side. Just like I did when I kind of skipped over, I want to get back up to the middle here. So I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to skip into that 115 that we share between the pieces, like I did going the other direction. So I'm going to sew back through that 15. And then up towards my seed beads at the top. So as I get to the top then, that nice little pull, as you get to the top, you're going to go up through those 15 beads there and out through the top of the beads. Once you're out through the top of the beads here, you're going to look to add your next IrisDuo. So your next IrisDuo is going to sit right in the interior here. So what I'm going to do to sew through and add my next IrisDuo is I'm going to take this IrisDuo, go through from the right towards the left because I need to see where it needs to sit. Go through the 2 seed beads on the right hand side of the leftmost bead. And the reason this seems a little bit more complicated is because we're decreasing and increasing as we're doing it. It's almost like odd count peyote. Entering 1 more 15 into the game and back up through your 11-0 seed beads. And that ties that next one in place. From here, you need 4 more 15-0s. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Up through my second hole, 4 more 15s, and then down through those 5 seed beads again. Going through the lavender, going through the 15, and then again through those lavender beads. Once you come out the lavender beads, you're going to sew up through the side 15s, just like we've been doing. And then when you're at this bead here, this is when you're going to go back to your Lila Luster 11. So we're switching back from the darker color to the lighter color. So I'm going to go 2 of my lighter 11s, 1 15, and then 2 of the lighter 11s, and back down the side. That's going to decorate the top there. And if my needle's allowing me, I'm going right down through those first 2 11s that are part of the group of 5. From here, through your 15, and over through the next 2 11s. And that's going to finish up that third to last IrisDuo. I need to get over to the side here, so I'm going to sew through the 15 at the top and down through the 2 11s. This gives me an opportunity here to add 1 15-0. So back through the 2 11s that we're going to share from the previous row of my IrisDuos. Grab my next IrisDuo and sit it on in there. So from the right to the left, and then down through my 2 11s again. Pull that into place, and that one's there. So right now I'm going to decorate the sides as well, finishing off with my 2 of my Lila 11-0 seed beads, and then I'll show you how we're going to add on the last one in its place. To add in my last of my IrisDuos, I'm finishing up this one on the right hand side, and I want to come out through the bottom of my 11-0 seed beads. We're going to add our 15-0 and sew up through the 2 11s on the left hand side. That joins those 2 together. Pick up my next IrisDuo because those 5 beads are going to go to the bottom, and I want you to sew in from the left hand side toward the right hand side of hole number 1. Go ahead and sew back through again those 5 beads, the 2 11s, 1 15, and the 2 11s, and that'll get your last of your IrisDuo in place. Coming out those 2 11s, go ahead then and add your 4 15s. So through the top hole, add 4 more 15s, and then I'm going to circle around through the bottom. Now you can go back through the bottom hole if you want to, but I like to circle around the bottom because it makes it look more like a seamless line. From here then, we're just going to add our top beads here to the very end. I'm going to flip it over so you can see kind of the look going up through. You can see how it looks on the back side. Going up through those 4 15s at the top. Grab your 2 of your Lila beads, 1 15, 2 Lila beads, and then down through the 11s on the other, or the 15s rather, on the other side. If you would want to make these into a pair of earrings, whether or not you're using the Potomac's metal iris duos or just our regular check glass ones, here's where you're going to go in and actually attach your ear wire. They make an awesome little statement earring hanging a little over an inch long. From here, instead, what I'm going to do is sew back through the project and get to my middle IrisDuo bead. My middle IrisDuo bead is where I'm going to connect and use my ladder stitch for the band of my ring. So I'm going to sew down here and sew back along the line. I'm going to go to the outer edge here, following my thread path, kind of zigzagging down, so I make sure that I don't show any extra thread. And again, I just want to get to that middle IrisDuo bead. Once you're at that middle IrisDuo bead, you want to kind of flip it over towards the back. So I'm going here and snaking along the design. So make sure that I don't have any extra thread showing. I'm going to sew through now. I'm coming out the 11-0 seed beads right there. I'm going to sew through that top hole of the IrisDuo and then push my needle so that it comes out towards the back, not through any seed beads. So you want it to come right out the IrisDuo. Now it's time to get our ladder stitch going. So we're going to go in here and we're just going to ladder stitch 3 or 4 beads. It's up to you. I'm going to do the same as Anna here and do 4 beads. And what I'm going to do is do 1, 2, 3, and 4 of my 15-0s. And the first thing I'm going to do is sew through my IrisDuo through the second hole to the other side. On the other side, same thing, do 1, 2, 3, and 4, and sew back over to side number 1. When you sew back over to side number 1, sew back through those first 4 beads that you just added, so that you're coming out basically the other end of them. Now we're going to ladder stitch. So on go 4 beads. You're going to sew back through those 4 beads that your thread is coming out of. You're coming out the bottom. You're going to sew into the top after adding those 4 beads. From here, sew back through the 4 beads that you just added. So you're sewing through all 4. And that should line them up in a pretty nice row right next to the previous 4. Now again, 1, 2, 3, 4 beads go on. I'm starting at the top of that previous row of 4. I'm adding 4 more, and I'm going to sew into the bottom of that previous row of 4. Once I come out the top of that previous row of 4, I'm going to sew down from the top towards the bottom of the 4 I just added. Again, 4 more go on. Coming out the bottom, sew into the top of those beads that your thread is currently coming out of, and then sew back through the beads you just added on. And there you have it. So I'm going to continue on making my band for my bracelet here, or for my ring, my band for my bracelet. You can do it for a bracelet too, but I'm going to go in and add quite a few number of rows of my beads, so that way I make sure that my band is going to fit whatever finger I would like to wear this fun little Marquise cocktail ring. Once you have a long section of ladder stitch, probably about 25 to 40 depending on your wrist or your finger size that you want to wear it on, you're going to go back to the 4 beads that you put on the opposite side. So I'm coming out of my last row of my ladder stitch here, and I'm going to catch onto those 4 beads that sit on the opposite side of the IrisDuo. So remember, when we went around the IrisDuo, we added 4 and then went back to that starter side. From here, you're going to go back through the last 4 beads that your thread was coming out of. Give a nice tight pull. Back through those 4 beads that are next to your IrisDuo bead. And then what I'm going to do to end my project is simply sew my thread and needle back down towards the starter side. What you can also do is take off your stop bead, weave your thread back in, and tie off the knots towards the back of the project. This is going to make it so that you don't see a lot of thread showing on your ring. And then you'll have your ring all ready to go, depending on if you want it to be the ring, if you want it to be earrings, if you want it to be, you know, the center of a necklace or a really great pin. So you can have fun creating these, whether or not you want to do them this big or just do it as a simple little 4 diamond. You can really have fun working up these simple marquee rings. As always, thank you so much for joining me and learning to make these fun marquee rings. Again, they look great as earrings and even downsized from the grouping of 9 to a grouping of 4. So you can have a lot of fun with these rings and really bling up your fingers. Remember, if you do need any materials, you can check out the links to shop with us online below, as well as comment in the actual video. Let us know if you're making any changes, have any questions, and really help out the beading community. As always, you can give a little thumbs up, and also don't forget to click so that way you get regular updates from us here at Potomac Beads by subscribing to the channel. Thanks so much for watching, and again, enjoy your fun marquee ring, and thanks, Anna, for the fun design.